Right here on Salam Media. We are now crossing over to KZN and we will be talking with Dr. Faisal Suliman. He is the chairperson of SAMNET, which is the South African Muslim Networks. And we're going to be talking about controlling the narrative. Dr. Faisal Suliman, Salam Alaikum, welcome.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure. Love the type of information you put out there, but I also kind of wonder regarding the narratives or controlling the narratives, how we know it's of utmost importance knowing where social media is at, where AI is at. And I posed that question to my earlier guest, and that was a Maulana from Ashraful Aid, talking to us about the global summit, the Muslim Global Summit. And it kind of ties in very much with what you're going to be raising on the show this morning. But I've spoken about social media and AI and young people and their mindsets about, I guess, being instant stars, overnight stars, getting hundreds of thousands of hits, being absolutely popular, etc., etc. How do we shift their thinking and have them focus on the more relevant and important matters of the day impacting on us as the Muslim Ummah?
Yes, I think at the moment, sadly, we have to admit that the Zionists control the narrative, particularly in the mainstream media, and then the owners, of Meta, your Facebook, your WhatsApp, to Twitter, etc., Instagram, are highly inclined towards Israel, if not grossly, openly supportive financially and clearly in the way they structure media content. And that I think is one of the reasons why they want to either buy out or shut down TikTok out of Chinese control. So that is where we are at the moment in terms of what the mainstream public sees and hears and reads. But we have our own brains. There are resources now, even including AI programs, etc. And of course, I should have included Twitter or X under Mr. Musk, who is openly supporters of some right-wing nationalism and Israel. And the dangers that Starlink brings, that's a different issue altogether, but the dangers that Starlink brings in terms of controlling access. At the moment, Facebook, Meta, etc., control content. So you can see how dangerous the two are together, control of access and content on the internet. So, and now, Julie, it's a whole prong, and we spoke about this yesterday at the Islamic Medical Association convention. Before we get to the social media, we have to reclaim, and in fact, that is probably what we are saying. We have to reclaim the narrative within our homes first. And the narrative at the moment at the homes, if it's not television and all of the things, social related, then it's football, it's motor racing, it's Wimbledon, it's whatever. Now, I don't think for a moment we're suggesting don't have an interest in any sports, etc. But it cannot be 98% of your narrative or your discussions at home or among your friends or your pedal group or whatever it is. That is the first place. And in this respect, what we spoke about as well is we have to reach a stage of consciousness, for example, and I'm going to use easy examples because they're easy and they're good. One is what products are owned by Israeli companies. And in this case, South Africa, very clear ones are Clover and Tiva. Supportive of Israel would be, Discam, Coca-Cola, etc. Now, the big one that's supported by the Muslim community is Cape Union Mart, K-Way. Certain segment of the community, it's almost like a uniform to be buying a K-Way jacket, etc. Now, that consciousness has to come. Secondly, the Zionists aren't afraid. Even in South Africa, if you go, for example, there are doctors that people go to, and today we don't differentiate anymore what race of Zionists you are. Indian Zionists, white Zionists, Jewish, Christian, Arab Zionists, even
Absolutely.
Muslim Zionists, unfortunately. Right.
Mhm.
So any Zionist, and it includes any race. But if there's a doctor out there that you are using and there's alternatives, and what I think we're saying is we reach a state of consciousness in our lives that before I go to a doctor, a lawyer, a chartered accountant, or you are referring to them as a doctor or an architect referring to whatever, a lawyer referring to an advocate, go look on their profile. Go look on their LinkedIn and social media profile and say, hey, is this guy supportive of Israel or not? Is he an open Zionist? And many of them are. They put it on their social medias. I'm going to Israel, whatever. Then go somewhere else. Because it's not a small thing that's happening. It's an absolute massacre, genocide. Genocide isn't even strong enough for what we see. So we have to reach that level of consciousness, Julie, first in our homes about talking about these things. The next step from the home is the school and madrasas, art competitions, whatever it takes to raise consciousness in schools, essay competitions, art, whatever. We have to stop, in even madrasa, it's about Palestine reaches Miraj, and that's it, right? So that has to change. Then, as I said, our social conversation. And then now, the use of social media, as you mentioned, and AI tools, and there are some really good tools available to now counter the narrative. It's about hearts and minds. As long as there's a perception, I mean, I don't think we should be supportive of nuclear weapons or any weapon of mass destruction, whether it is cluster bombs or anything of any kind, because they are mass indiscriminate killers. But if you look at the Western narrative, now if you just take the theological debate out of the way, I mean, it's like, other than the West and Israel, nobody must have nuclear weapons. And the question is, why not? The question is never asked, why not? Especially now when it appears that you have to have it or else you're going to be attacked unilaterally, suddenly, etc. And they're almost forcing you to want to have it as a deterrent. I mean, it's not asked, why shouldn't Iran or why shouldn't North Korea or why shouldn't any other country have nuclear weapons? They shouldn't have it, and it's an accepted fact. Not the debate of why should they and why should Israel not be forced to denuclearize itself like South Africa did. So that is part of the narrative, but it doesn't only happen. As you say, when the tree is bent, it's no use trying when the tree is 50 years old to try and reshape the tree. It has to start from the bottom. And that reclaiming the narrative has to start in the homes, has to start with simple actions like boycotting, like going to a march, going to a discussion. We have to ask ourselves, why there's placard demonstrations, there's marches. Why is Muslim participation from the community so few? Now some will say, Malana think, oh no, there's mixed gathering, there's men and women together. Well, no one. There are ways of getting around it. People travel in aeroplanes and in airports. It's all mixed, but they get around it.
Absolutely.
So I think that has to.
I lost you there for a minute. Faisal, are you still there? Dr. Faisal Suliman?
Yes, I'm not sure at which part you.
Okay. All right, you're talking about
but I'm saying the narrative in our home.
Yeah, segregation on airplanes, etc. So I hear you. I just want to bring something in here, and I don't think we've realized just how serious the genocide. We don't take it seriously enough, maybe because they're too far removed from us. We see a lot happening. This genocide is playing out on social media, and we do our bit, or we believe we're doing our bit, by attending a couple of marches and digging into our pockets to contribute to some aid upliftment program, etc. But an earlier interview I had this morning with Almami Bakar Sanko, he is the founder and national leader of the Oppression People's Democratic League in Sierra Leone. And the discussion we had is the Sahel states are being warned of Israeli-backed destabilization of the Sahel state. And that is so, so serious. And I'm wondering if it even makes it to the mainstream media. And I'm wondering if those type of stories are even discussed in our homes. Can you see how wide-reaching are the tentacles of Western imperialists? We need to wake up. We need to wake up and realize what's going on around us.
Oh, absolutely, Julie. And you ask yourself, I mean, SABC will cover the silliest things, royal baby or royal function or this princess or whoever they are now, slipped and fell and it gets headline news. I mean, as an avid Liverpool supporter myself, though, and it's tragic when anybody, and certainly when young people die in car accidents, etc., it's tragic. But if you look at the emotional attachment to the Liverpool and his brother, who died in a car accident, or to a tennis match, and how we relate to it, or etc., it goes to the point that you spoke about. Since 1948, yes, we've been supportive of Israel, and I must ask you, we're doing our good. No, we're not. No, we're not. We should not fool ourselves that donating money and the occasional march, which for the population of South Africa is actually nowhere near where it should be, right? Or and there are very few activists that are out there doing placard demonstrations and etc., etc. But for the kind of numbers we have, we are doing very little. Money probably the best thing we're doing is of donating for relief, etc. But that's nowhere near enough. Not if we believe that we are an ummah and when one hurts, the other part hurts. I mean, one part of our body isn't being hurt at the moment. It's been chopped off, burnt, scarred, and burnt again every day. And yet the emotional attachment to a football team, and it goes to what you say, what we're discussing every day, what we have our emotions attached to, comedians, that, whatever, TV shows. So that when that part changes, everything else will change. And Julie, I cannot, and I know I'm probably opening myself up to some criticism, etc. when I say this. Clearly, Salah is first, and being in the masjid is extremely important. But then we have this logic that tells us, no, Allah will not help until like you can't do anything until the masjid is full for Fajr Salah. Of course, the masjid has to be full for Salah. That's a no-brainer. It's not even something you discuss. It's Farz, right? But it's almost like it's used as an excuse not to do anything else. So until the masjid is full, it's like someone saying, you know what, until I'm playing 5 times namaz, I won't fast. I won't go for Hajj. It's the opposite. You go for Hajj and inshallah it will inspire you to do other things, to improve your lives in other respects. So it's almost like we have an either or. Until this happens, no, you can do both. You can be demonstrating, you can and on the other hand, I should just say the other side of it is also just as important. You can't be saying namaz is good and I'm an activist and no, namaz is part of this. It's a no-brainer. So there's all sorts of different logics. Dua is the weapon of the believer. Of course, dua is the weapon of the believer. It goes without saying. But as Yawar Beg, often used to tell me when we used to do these interviews, the duas for the Battle of Badr weren't made in Medina. They were made on the battlefield of Badr. The Prophet didn't sit in Medina, send others or say, right, give us victory. He organized weapons. The 313 people went. They, put rocks in the wells to force the Makkans into, stopping there. Otherwise, they would have had no water, etc. And then fight. So, we're finding other excuses. The marches have, mixed gatherings, so we mustn't attend them. Those are all, excuses. Those are all, often used to get away with saying, okay, let's make dua and let's give money. And it's not enough. That narrative has to change, let alone then what you're talking about. And yes, I think we need to put pressure as a civil society on the SABC to ask, why aren't you talking about what Israel is doing in the Sahel? Not just the Sahel. There isn't a place where Israel hasn't interfered to destabilize. In fact, we should understand that Israel is working to undermine our very religion in there, let alone politics. Even
in the Middle
religion.
East, we know they're working hard to
Even in our own
destabilize.
country. Our own country. Here in South Africa. I mean, we had someone go and plant bombs and kill somebody in a Shia mosque. That could have triggered a whole tit for tat. Fortunately,
That
it
was,
didn't.
yeah,
It didn't.
that was in Durban. That was in Durban several years
we had
ago.
someone
Right.
in Durban North. There's clear footage. People. There was enough explosives there to have brought the entire masjid down on the Musallis. And this was being done at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. So,
absolutely.
There's third force activity going on. This is not in isolation. So it's happening.
We need to wake up, Faisal. We need to wake up as an ummah. I think we too, and I know this is a generalization, we are too engrossed in, as you've indicated, movies, sports stars. Influencers are the big thing of the day. Food trends, if I can outdo you with my food trends and I'll have X thousands of hits and I'm popular and I'm famous, and the types of functions we give and the type of lavish weddings we give, each one outdoing the other one. I think we need a total mindset, change of mindset. We're not saying don't indulge.
This is deliberate. Sorry to interrupt you. This is deliberate. We are like the crowds in ancient Rome, and the emperors were fiddling, and to keep the crowds busy, they had those entertainment, all the gladiators and all the right. This is no different. We're being flooded with Netflix and 1,000 other different movie streams, 50 channels for sports and movies. It's not by accident. Social media flooded with as you say, every small thing about every pop star or whatever, football star, sports star. It's not just happening. It's deliberately done so that while we're busy being entertained, our rights, our lives, the currency at a whole macro and micro level, we're being undermined.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it there. I'd just like to share one or two Facebook posts with you. This is from Abdul Razak Ismailov. He says Israelis never question over their nuclear weapons, because you spoke about nuclear weapons in the interview, because of white supremacist Western privileges, and other Western nations never condemned Israel. We know that for a fact. In contrast, even my country wants regime change in Iran because of their self-defense against Israel. So clearly this person is based somewhere in the Middle East. And the next message from him says, I personally think it's time for South Africa to reinstate its nuclear weapons program, as there's now a genuine threat against the free South Africa by likes of the US and its attack dog Israel. So yeah, lots and lots to be concerned about. And last but not least, he goes on to say there is a pro-Palestine protest in front of the Estonian Foreign Ministry tomorrow in Tallinn at 13:30 their time, and I think this is in one of the Eastern European countries. I hope I'm not wrong. In closing, Faisal, what do you want to say? Once again, we talk. The issue is raised about, and I'm probably going to get shot down for this, but anyway, we have way too many aid agencies operating in South Africa. And we are donating more than sufficiently for relief efforts. Am I wrong in saying that perhaps they should all band together, cut out the duplication, and thereby be able to make a bigger impact? Your thoughts, Faisal? And also for monies to go to advocacy groups like SAMNET, MRN, and media houses like Salam Media, so that we can keep on operating and put out the messages, the correct narratives into the public space. Faisal? Have we lost Dr. Faisal Suliman? Okay, we've lost him. We leave it there. It is 9:34. News and views on Salam Media. Please stay with us. 1 or 2 more interviews coming your way.